Good morning, Mr. Chambers. How are you?
Good. If this is Shireen, you always call me John, and I am excited to be there. I just try to keep up with your energy.
Well, I'm trying to keep up with your energy. I know it's 4 a.m. there in California, so we really appreciate you joining us here at the Global Leadership Summit. But John, let me start by asking you about your view on India from a foreign perspective, from a foreign investor's lens. I know you've been a long-term, perpetual India bull. How high is the confidence today?
The confidence today is higher than ever, Shireen, and you knew that was going to be my answer. But the way you deal with emotion is with facts. India will become the #1 economy in the world. I think we were the first ones to predict that several years ago. It will be the fastest growing economy in the world, and the increase of standard of living for all 1.4 billion people. The confidence in dealing with the world's largest democracy, candidly with the second largest democracy in the U.S., has never been stronger. The startup mentality and the infrastructure build-outs that your prior guests talking about instills confidence. And candidly, with the election of President Trump and the key appointments as Secretary of State and National Security Advisor are very, very strong allies of India. So I think the confidence is greater than it's ever been. So it's impossible to double down and double down and double down again. But that's really what I'm saying the world's going to do in terms of India's future.
So double down on India. That's the big call there from John Chambers. But John, you talked about the new Trump administration. You talked about some of the key appointments. Let's talk about what the Trump regime could mean for global growth, which is already fairly fragile at this point in time. And what are the expectations from this new Department of Efficiency with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy at the helm?
Well, you've asked probably 3 questions, Shireen. First of all, you watched the U.S. stock market in response to the election. It responded very well. President Trump focused on the economy, our immigration issues, and crime, and he won in areas that the Republicans have traditionally not carried, including the average working American. It was probably the broadest win I've seen in quite a while by any leader on either side. President Trump and Prime Minister Modi, as you know, are great friends. They get along extremely well, and their communications is great. And with Marco Rubio, you will see him match up perfectly with Jay Shanker in terms of the focus from the Foreign Affairs leader and from the Secretary of State. And in terms of National Security Advisor, most of you know Mike Waltz is very, very pro-U.S. and India relationships, comes regularly to the country there. So I think the combination of the two are going to drive the U.S. and India economies faster together than before. And actually, Shireen, I think we will set the pace between our two countries for our countries to lead on AI. It doesn't mean other countries around the world won't drive it, but I think our startup community and our ability to increase our standard of living and drive our stock markets as well as job creation are going to be very good under this new combination.
Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy?
I like them. You know, we have real character leaders of our high tech and our high business. Shireen, you probably find me boring in comparison, but it is exciting, and they do keep us on our toes. But it does speak to the strength of a democracy, where you have people that can speak out and speak out with enthusiasm and belief. And both of those individuals are huge believers in the future of India and the relationship between our countries. If you look at it across America, regardless of political party, the confidence and trust in India and candidly the love for your country has never been stronger. But it's also a win-win economically, where we can generate probably 1% more GDP growth than the U.S. from a tight partnership over this decade per year, and India can probably generate 2 more points of GDP growth because of the partnership. So I think this will be not only India's decade and India's century, I think it will be India and the U.S. together on everything from artificial intelligence to defense to job creation, and the model for other countries in terms of how countries that are great democracies work together and innovate together.
You know, you talked about collaborating on AI. The Prime Minister said AI stood for America and India. But John, you know, realistically, what is that going to mean in terms of future collaboration, in terms of the private sector collaborating in areas like AI? We're already doing that in many ways. But what's the aspiration? What's the potential for growth from here?
When you look at it, Shireen, there's been two major technologies that changed the way the world works, lives, learns, and plays, affected our lives in every way. The first was the internet, and now the second one will be AI. It will change your standard of living. It will change what you do in your job. It will change how you're entertained. It will cure cancer by using it effectively. It will drive the stock markets for the next decade. It also will move at probably 5 times the speed of the internet and 3 times the impact. That's a nice way of saying what used to happen, for example, in startups in your room, it would take 2 years to develop a product, 1 year to get 5 to 7 customer references that are paying on it. You're in year 3 at $1 million run rate. And by year 5, you'd be at a $5 million run rate, and you're a unicorn in the making. Today, my companies do that like VJ at Pindrop, or what Saket is doing at Safe Securities, or what Bipple did at Rubrix. They develop their products now in 2 to 3 months. They hit a 5 to 7 customers within a quarter or two, using VJ as an example with Pindrop on deepfakes. He's at a $2.7 million run rate after 2 quarters. He will be at the $5 million run rate in 15 months. It is 3 to 5 times faster, with the impact even larger. So every company, regardless of industry, will go AI. Every government, every defense, and people's lives, you will have an AI assistant at your hand in your mobile phone, or in terms of your individual personal assistant at work.
So John, you talked about investing in startups here in India. You're also backing Indian founders who are based in the Valley. So what's the outlook? How many checks are you going to be signing in 2025? What is going to be the size of the checks that you sign?
Okay, so the answer is 60% of my investments just happen to be with CEOs and a founding team, either that were started in India or in the Silicon Valley, Atlanta, Texas diaspora group. I think that ratio will continue because of the great engineering teams you all have put out, and how startups in India are growing the fastest in the world. You know that your IPO market in India is the fastest in the world. US is a little bit slower. In terms of my checks and the balance, you'll see me continue to invest in all 22. They will be around artificial intelligence, and all of them will have artificial intelligence as a foundation. I'm betting heavy on security. My average investment is $3 to $5 million in terms of the approach. I've been very fortunate that in a very last tough 2.25 years, we had 2 major exits in terms of M&A, 2 of the 3 largest with OpenGov, in terms of a group in Pensando, the largest defense exit with Dedrone being purchased by a large defense contractor, Rubrix and cybersecurity with Bipple's team going public, and they're doing a great approach. So right now, we've been very fortunate versus some of our peers. We're going to continue to reinvest and doubling down on India, if not quadrupling down.
Well, we hope you do quadruple down as well, John. But let me ask you for your comments, wearing your former Cisco hat, on what we're likely to see happen on the infrastructure side, on the chip side, with the wars that are currently underway in the industry. How much are we likely to head into a phase of significant consolidation? Is that something that you believe is just a question of timing? It's not if, it's when.
Well, it depends on the 3 categories that you covered. Let's start with semiconductors. I happen to be very close to everyone from NVIDIA to AMD to Broadcom to others in terms of the industry overall. All of those are very active in terms of consolidation, movement into AI growth, and candidly, all of them are very active in terms of investing in the India and U.S. corridor. I don't think you'll necessarily see a consolidation there. I think you will see challenges to NVIDIA evolve because clearly, if you want to know how the AI is going. It's much like Cisco, when Cisco was the leader in networking. If you want to know how the internet was going, just watch Cisco's growth to 60 or 70 or 80% per year. NVIDIA is the bellwether in terms of the industry, but others are going to focus on it. To your question about cybersecurity, you're right. It is set up for consolidation. I was just with a customer advisory board yesterday, interestingly enough, with Pindrop, talking about the deep fakes, and the 20 customers there said, John, we have an average of 50 cybersecurity companies in our environment. They don't talk together. That one's probably set up in terms of more of a consolidation. I hope to play a role there in terms of my startups. For people in the room, if you want to have a safe future, become an expert in AI and cybersecurity. The two of them will come together in terms of resolution. In terms of your big question, Shireen, I think this might be the first time ever when you go from mainframes to mini computers to PC, client servers, to the internet, to the cloud, and now to AI, where the prior generation might actually produce half the leaders in the new technology. That's not occurred before, but I think with the hundreds of billions of dollars that Microsoft and Google and Amazon and Apple and Meta are putting in, they will be a force here, and then I think you will see some of the players in the room, hopefully some of mine as well, also become a force. So for the first time, the large traditional players, maybe 2 or 3 of them will really make this transition and be in leadership roles. And again, I think it's the startups that are going to light it up. For those of you in the room, regardless of your industry, manufacturing, government, healthcare, you've got to have a AI strategy and foundation. And as investors for FDI others, they're going to say, where are you on your AI implementation? Where are you in terms of driving your productivity at 7 to 10% a year, which I think you can with AI. 2025, some predictions. I think you'll see 2025 be the year where AI crosses the chasm. Everybody talks about it today, but if you talk to the average person in India or the average person in America, it is not affecting their day-to-day activity, either at work or otherwise. By the end of 2025, I think we will see it in a broad level at all of our, both of our countries and in all of our business and personal lives. It's going to move with tremendous speed and excitement. Disrupt, or you're going to be disrupted.
Well, you're talking about disruption, John, but before I let you go, given your experience of not just building a company or building or looking at market intersections and inflection points, but also investing in startups, what's the message to the Indian entrepreneur?
The message to the Indian entrepreneur, I believe in ownership and sharing that ownership across your entire company. I think you see VCs both in India, but more and more coming from America to say, let's partner together. I think it's important to dream bigger, Shireen, as you and I have discussed many times. I think one of the many things that just makes me so proud of India, and I've been there 50 times, but my wife traveled with me the last 2 times this year. She fell in love with the country as well. It's a wonderful company, but your innovation and your dreaming is great. I think we can dream even bigger and make that happen together. So I'm the most bullish person on India for the last 2 decades, and I couldn't be more pleased about the future. But the message to the people in the room, dream bigger, execute on good plans. When you get knocked down, that's part of the development of your company. Understand why you got knocked down and get back up, and then go at it again. You'll be stronger after you get knocked down than if you never got knocked down. And I think we have to imagine the future and what AI can do for the companies and for our countries.
John Chambers, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us here at the Global Leadership Summit and imagining the future with us and for us. We truly appreciate your time. Ladies and gentlemen, a very early start for John Chambers there, 4 a.m. in California. Thank you very much, John, for joining us. It's also